Hello, Drinking and Mo fans. This is J.P. Harlow. Duh! Coming live from the Drinkin' with Mo's podcast. I will be on the Drinkin' with Mo's podcast where we talk everything. My humble beginnings, my success I've had down here in Texas, my relationships with some of the best trainers in the world, right here on the Drink with Mo's podcast. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, Mo is getting hard with J.P. Harlow. Duh!
All right, everybody. Want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinking at Mo's be a brand ambassador. They encourage everybody to break out of that comfort zone, live their best self, which, hey, that's what got me starting the podcast. But they got great clothing, great apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, all that good stuff. Be sure, link will be in the description, and use the code Drinkin' at Mo's to get 10% off your order. Let's fucking go.
All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin' at Mo's. Host Big Mo here. We've expanded our reach. We are on more podcast platforms than we have ever been on before, so pretty much most places. And we're on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good shit. But today I have with me, all the way from Texas, J.P. Harlow. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mo. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. You know, I've had some pretty great interviews coming up. Well, ones coming up. I've had ones that I have yet to release that I'm pretty excited about.
Okay.
One of the legendary tag teams from back early 2000s, the surviving member of the original Backseat Boys. I had him on.
Nice.
I was pretty excited to have him on. So, like I said, I can't complain.
Hey, sounds like you're kicking ass taking names.
Oh, yeah. I would like to think I'm doing all right.
Hey, that sounds great, man. That sounds awesome.
But first thing that I like to start off with each guest with, especially their first time on, is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you like your start into the business. You know, thing that finally pushed you into, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
Sure, yeah. So I remember growing up as a kid, my parents actually weren't fans of wrestling. Not that they like disliked it or anything. Of course, they let me watch it or anything. They just weren't wrestling fans. But my great grandmother was a huge wrestling fan. She was one of those ladies back in the day that I guess would just yell and scream at her TV, you know, and when the bad guy won or whatever, you know, and then that got passed down to my grandmother, and then my grandmother and grandfather would watch a lot of wrestling, especially whenever, you know, me, my mom, my dad, and my sister were over at their house. I remember a lot of times one of the earliest things I can remember as far as wrestling goes, like watching it on TV, was one of the things was, I think it was Mick Foley and Big Show versus Undertaker and Rock in that tag team Buried Alive.
Oh, yeah. Was Rock and Sock Connection versus Big Show and Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
I was just reading about that. I was just reading about that today.
Oh, what about it?
Oh, they were just talking about how unique it was to have, you know,
the tag team.
The tag team in the Buried Alive match, which, I mean, it's only been done that one time. Right.
So, yeah, I remember that. I can't say I remember too much. I mean, of course, I've watched the match back a few times, but in that moment, I just remember like the Buried Alive tag team match. And then the other earliest thing I can remember is when Kane and Lita were doing their whole shtick together. And
Yep.
Lita flushed the wedding ring down the urinal or whatever it was, and then Kane just went all crazy and started just doing some egregious activities to poor Lita. Yes.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
Hunting babies and what have you. But
that was an interesting time.
That was an interesting time, man, how far we've come.
Yeah.
Hey, but those are the things that whether they were just off the wall crazy or they stayed with people, because I know a lot of people, like a lot of friends down here that I hang out with that aren't necessarily in the wrestling community, nor are they wrestling fans anymore. But when they find out, oh, you're a professional wrestler, I'm like, oh yeah, yes I am. And they go, oh, do you remember when Kane did this, or when Jeff Hardy jumped off that, or when that those are the crazy things that people remember, honestly, and in a way, I think is kind of missing nowadays.
I can see that. There's
like nothing against the current product at all. The current product's great. In fact, I'm part of the current product, but I do say, like, some of those off the cuff, just out of the blue things that would happen sometimes, I feel like that's kind of missing. Recently they just kind of did something where I didn't watch it live, but when Brock attacked Cody,
oh yeah,
that's gonna last with people for a long time. I think that's one of the very few times we've seen lately where it's just this crazy thing, that was just built up, because I know a lot of people were upset that Cody didn't win, but sometimes the powers that be have something a little bit better planned, so
yeah. No, I can agree to that. There's hasn't been too much of that shock factor, I guess you could say, recently. They're like very good example, that Brock and Cody thing, with the
no one was
history
expecting that.
Oh yeah, especially with
no
the
one was expecting
history
that.
that Roman and Brock had, to have something like that happen, very much so. But
oh yeah, and that's going to be something that gets people to, who knows when Brock's going to wrestle next.
yeah,
If I had to guess, it'd probably be at Money in the Bank over at the O2 in London, just to get asses and seats, if I had to guess, and probably keep Cody away from that Money in the Bank for a little bit. But and who knows? And that's what I like about. I think that's when wrestling's at its best, is when people don't know. Like a lot of the dirt sheets, I kind of feel like, nothing against them, they serve their purpose. They do good reporting. I know a lot of good journalists in this field, but just kind of like, I don't know, sometimes I just like to see what happens. Like I don't even necessarily like knowing what's happening on the shows that I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Like I just like to watch, just, cool, he won. Oh, cool, that happened, But they serve the purpose.
Oh yeah, no, and there's definitely those wrestling journalists that they do a little bit better of a job than others. There's those that kind of put a bad name on it, but then there's also, like you brought up, there's something about even the people involved in the show not really knowing. Like, I know, I'm wanting to say it was Jim Ross that I heard, he doesn't even, on stuff like that, or big blow-offs to a storyline, he doesn't even want to know, because he wants his reaction to be like a genuine, like, holy shit sort of thing.
Yep. That's the way it should be, honestly, especially from like a commentator's point of view. Because back in college, I used to, when I wasn't playing college football, would do, like, in the off season, I would do like sports radio for the women's basketball team, the wrestling team, and stuff like that. And in a way, like, of course, you're not going to know the outcome to a women's basketball game or a wrestling match. Of course, you're not.
Yeah.
But like, imagine if you did.
Yeah.
Like this person's going to shoot a 3-pointer and make. Like you're not going to be like, oh, freaking LeBron James with the three. You'd be like, oh, LeBron James with the three. Because it's coming. So it's just like, like I think that's good that they don't know and that they are treating it like it is a sport, because it is. At the end of the day, it is a sport.
No, most definitely. And it's everybody gets their start at different points. I mean, I know, good Lord, most famous example right now, DDP got his like in-ring like wrestler side of things start relatively late.
Yeah.
When was it that like the moment that you had decided that's what I'm doing, like I need to get in there?
Right. Well, I mean, we can take this all the way back to like when I was a kid. I always said I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I always wanted to be in the WWE, or because AEW wasn't invented. So, but so we'll fast forward a little bit, and then I was in college. I left college, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, to put it lightly. Like I was just kind of like, man, I had thought I'd go to college, and I just didn't enjoy it. I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was very good at the classes. I always made the dean's and the president's list. I was like, this is wasting my time. I don't know. I just had that feeling of this is wasting my time. And luckily for me, though, there was a professional wrestling school about an hour north of Vermillion, South Dakota. Eugene's Midwest All Pro at the time. It's now been,
I'm very familiar with them.
Oh yes, it's now been rebranded as Flagship Pro, I believe, ran by Lucky Lund, good friend of mine. But at the time, it was Midwest All Pro with Eugene Nick Dinsmore, and I remember just looking into it one day before I left school, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." I actually used to love watching Eugene. I always thought Eugene was a great character. People have their opinions, people have their takes on it, but at the end of the day, it was a great character. It honestly influenced a demographic that had necessarily never been reached before in a positive way. And oh yeah. And so I decided, like, I remember just kind of telling my parents, because at the time I was living in a house in Vermillion, and I was just like, I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I got a job. I'm going to do this. And to their credit, like, they never once told me not to. They never told me once not to not do this, quite frankly. Like, they've always been supportive. They've always been there for me, ups and downs, sideways, whatever. They've always been there for me, and they've always supported this dream. So then I basically, for the first, I think, 3 or 4 months of training I was doing, actually, sidebar, I remember rolling up into, well, technically it was Harrisburg, but Harrisburg's a little town outside of Sioux Falls, the big city. The big city of South Dakota, East River represent. But it was dead of winter, man. It was January. It's negative, probably 30 degrees, freaking at least 6 or 7 inches of snow. And I remember pulling up to the address I was given. Nobody's there. And I was like, that's weird. And so I shoot him an email. I'm like, hey, I'm at the address. He goes, oh, sorry, we changed addresses. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, no problem. So I go to the new address, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, where is this place at? I cannot find this place. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then I see this little garage, this tiny garage. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And then, like, right as I was about to like get out of the car to like inspect what was going on, someone opens the door and it's WWE Superstar Eugene. And I was like, no way. And so I kind of wandered in there and I was like, hey, well, at the time, Jeffrey Kopke, I'm here to sign up. And he's like, oh, yeah, right over here, right over here. And I was like, what the heck? He somehow fit a 16 by 16 foot ring in this tiny garage. I mean, there was no heat. There was no electricity. The ceiling had scaffolding. Like, so thankfully for me, the one time it pays off not to be over 6 foot in professional wrestling is at this place, because one of the dudes, a good buddy of mine who I met through wrestling named Dylan, he was like 6'2". Oh man, he could only run the ropes one way, because if he ran them the other way, he'd smack his head off the freaking scaffolding. But, so it doesn't start getting warm until about April in old South Dakota. And
same here in Omaha.
I remember just those first 3 months, we were just bumping in like negative degree weather. And then like, I remember probably in February, Dylan goes, hey, I've got a bullet heater that we could use. Oh, thanks. Now I don't have to, train in a Carhartt overalls and coat and whatever. And so we bring it in, but we couldn't figure out a way to like ventilate the garage without bringing in the cold air. So we're basically just sucking diesel fumes for like 3-4 months. But that's what I attribute my good cardio to, honestly, is just sucking in those diesel fumes for 3 or 4 months. But a lot of people might have like just tucked their tail and go, you know what, I'll find something else, or just not have done it. I honestly don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I don't regret starting out in that situation. In fact, it's a great story. I always tell people, like, picture this garage. It looks like some of the best meth in South Dakota was made in this garage. That's what the garage looked like. That's the only way I can paint it, man. That's the only way I can paint it. But I wouldn't have traded it for anything, because in a weird way, we formed a great bond. Eugene went above and beyond, and it really when you're not really allowed to go to the top rope because of scaffolding, because actually Edge kind of has a similar story. Like where he started out, he couldn't go to the top rope because there was scaffolding and whatever. So it was a lot of mat-based technical training with psychology.
Yeah.
That I feel a lot of people don't get necessarily.
They
want to work on moves. They want to work on whatever,
Yeah.
And luckily for me, when I first started out, and there's a time and place for that. I'm not saying that at all. There is a time and place for that. But for me, when I first started out, just that psychology aspect and just the technical training of it really was tenfold. And like I said, I wouldn't want to train that for anything in the world, because just it's a good story and humble beginnings,
Oh no, definitely. It definitely builds character, I guess. And you bring in the mat aspect of it. It's like some of the greatest people out there, some of that people think are some of the best in the world, are more mat base. Like, I mean, you've got Bryan Danielson, you got Jonathan Gresham. I could
Who
go
I'm actually
on
wrestling
and
here soon.
I was gonna say I saw that.
I'm wrestling. Yep, I'll be wrestling John Gresham here soon, April 23rd, Pro Wrestling Element in San Antonio, Texas, at the Shrine Auditorium.
That'll be awesome. A little bit of weird story with him. He was at a recent Wrestling Revolver show, for Sammy
Okay.
Callahan's promotion. And
Sure.
I was there and got into the pre-show meet and greet thing and had the poster, and I was almost up to his table, and like I could tell he was on the phone. I don't know if
Mm,
he was on with his I think they're married with Jordan Grace.
sure.
But I think he might have been on the phone with her. I don't know. But all of a sudden, I'm almost up at the table, and all of a sudden, on the phone, walks off and didn't really come back. So I was like,
Oh no.
hello.
Oh
Nothing
no.
against him, though. I
No,
nothing but
yeah,
good
no.
things to say about him. It was just
He,
kind of a weird, like, okay.
yeah, no, he's a great dude. That stuff happens, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Stuff happens.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if wifey's on the phone, that's priority one. That's
Oh, no.
priority one.
Oh, trust me, I've been there with being at shows before, so I
Oh yeah.
completely get it. But kind of brought up, your origins getting into the wrestling business. What would you say your in-ring persona? What would you say, origin stories of how you came up with that?
Man, I mean, let's be honest. I wrestling, I've told people that I've helped along the way as well, the same thing. You're gonna go through a lot of changes. Hardly ever, what you start out as is what you stick with your whole
Oh,
career. And
yeah.
in a weird way, if that does happen, I can't believe you've been that successful. Like but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But
Yeah.
when I first started out, I was Dirty Jeff. Let's get dirty. And then when I moved to Texas, I went to Booker T's.
Mm.
And
Yep.
through a lot of trial and error and working my ass off and impressing the powers that be, Dirty Jeff just wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. I didn't need to do that down here. I became JP Harlow. And then I've just, to be fair, JP Harlow's just a dick. I mean, he's just an asshole. And it worked. I became one of Booker's go-to role guys. I need a good match. Go out there, put on a good match, get heat, get the crowd going. You know, and then along the way, I ended up moving to San Antonio from Houston to San Antonio, and then that's where I started going to the school with Rodney, Mac, Jazz, and Thunder Rosa.
Ah.
And yep, Thunder Rosa. I'm dear friends with Thunder Rosa. I owe her a lot. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
But if we got time. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'll definitely make time for her. But in a in a in a way, Jazz and Rodney, what I got from that school more than anything was them teaching me how to be a good heel. They taught me how to tap into my amateur wrestling background and bring out that aggression. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when people are learning how to be a heel, they just go so fast. They think they just have to bang, 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 just really be. Rodney once broke it down like slow down and make your stuff mean things,
Yeah.
and then that just always kind of stuck with me. And as time goes on, I grew very close with Thunder, grew close with her family, her husband and son. And Thunder helped me a lot with as well as the technical aspect and also bringing out character, because Thunder is also very character driven, very crowd oriented worker. And she runs the wrestling promotion Mission Pro, which we have a show here in San Antonio, Texas, April 15th. Me and my tag partner, Joey Hyder, will be facing the King Bees. But Mission Pro was a all-female promotion, right? And so I just started helping out the show, because I want to help my trainer with her show, taking down the ring, just stuff like that. And then one show she asked me like, hey, do you want to be on one of these shows? And I was like, well, I would love to, And so I remember the first month they announced a men's match was going to be on the all women's show. As you can imagine, that probably didn't bode so well with some people, but Thunder just kept running with me. She just kept running with me. She didn't listen to people, and I tip my hat and I shake her hand for that, because Mission Pro has afforded me so many opportunities that, quite frankly, I probably wouldn't have gotten had I not gotten on Mission Pro. And then one day I just told her, I said, hey, I don't want to be a babyface here. I want to be a heel. I mean, they're already like giving me shit. So let's give them a reason to give me shit.
Yeah.
And then, what I'm saying? Let's give them a reason to give me shit. And so she loved the idea. Her husband, Brian, loved the idea. And so we just went with me being the dick wrestler that comes out and, was titty twisting people and stomping on people's nuts. I'm also wrestling guys. I'm not doing this to the women, but I'm wrestling guys. And then I just started getting better opportunities. I had a great match with Matt Vandegrift. He's a very good wrestler out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He's training at the LA Dojo school right now, I believe. And then me and Mighty Myra, also another talent out of California, tag teamed against Thunder and her son Anakin, which was a great match. And then along the way, I've wrestled guys like Ninja Mac, Ricardo Rodriguez from WWE, did GCW against Alley Catch. Yep. And then, guys like.
I was going to say that was going to be one of those that I was like, I want to ask about that one because.
I mean, we could talk about it for sure. But then other guys like David Ali and what have you. And now I'm leading the men's revolution at Mission Pro. Men have been held down by the proverbial thumb of oppression at Mission Pro for far too long. And myself, Joey Hyder, and Boss Baines are sick and tired of it. I'll tell you that much.
You bring up talking about Jazz and Rodney Mack, and the thing that he told you, and you know what, especially in situations like with Mission Pro, it makes sense when you have some of those people that are kind of the fast high flyers and stuff. If you're wanting to play the heel in that situation, nothing plays the heel quite like taking their legs out from under them and just like wham, given that something opposite of what the fans were wanting out of that person. You take that away from them, boom, heel.
Sure. But and then here's just also the beautiful thing behind what he had said was, slow down, make your stuff mean something, be aggressive, be assertive, show the people, like, what I'm saying, have that gear change. You can do that as a high flyer. You can get all of your high flying stuff in. A guy that I like to point out who's changed his style. He's not changed his style. He's still doing all the high flying stuff, which is phenomenal. But it's just slowed down a lot throughout the years. Will Ospreay. He's one of the best heels in the business today.
That is true.
Like, put your money on the table. I mean, a lot of MJF gets a lot of praise for his heel work, and rightfully so, because he is a tremendous heel. You can't put that dude over enough.
Oh yeah.
But Will Ospreay, in a completely different sense, a high flying guy that can do things most people cannot, and was kind of dubbed, a spot mark or whatever there for a minute or two. Really changed his game, and he still gets in all of his stuff, but it means something,
Yeah.
and like his aggression and intensity and just nastiness it's unmatched. I think, put your money on the table. I think Will Ospreay is probably the best heel in the business, probably tied up there with MJF. I mean,
it would be hard to argue against that. That is for sure. And we talked about bringing up a match that I was definitely curious about hearing about, because I mean, she has been doing all sorts of amazing things all over the damn country.
Oh yeah,
especially there with GCW and Bussy with the partner
Effie, yep.
there with Effie. I was having a brain fart on his name there for a second, but yeah, her and Effie, holy shit, the amazing things they're doing there. What was that match like? Because I like to say, when it comes to especially intergender wrestling, there's like most genres, the supporters, the detractors, but everybody wants equality, equal footing. And you know what? And I brought this up with many people. What better way than to get that equal footing, that if you have somebody, regardless of gender, and they can both go, bam, put them up against each other and let them go.
Well, I mean, as far as that match goes, I was just approached with the opportunity of doing GCW through Mission Pro, which was, earned through Thunder and Brian. Like I said, I owe them the world, and one day I will give it back to them for sure. But they came up to me and they said, "Hey, we would like you to wrestle Allie Katch at GCW for Mission Pro. Would you be interested in doing this?" And I said, yeah. And, and so I went and did it. It was a great experience. Loved that weekend. Allie is a tremendous competitor. She had to resort to some unsavory tactics to beat me, but I applaud Allie. It is GCW. They kind of look the other way sometimes on those things. But I applaud her because she's a tremendous competitor. And, it's crazy to me that a company hasn't swallowed her up yet. But I think in due time, like she's going to be a household name for sure. She's awesome.
I'll totally agree.
She's awesome.
The fact that, like you said, the fact that one of the major companies out there hasn't snatched her up already, kind of surprising. But I know sooner or later somebody's going to wise up and she's going to be on that real big stage.
I think I cut one of my best after match promos after that match. I was like gassed and sweat because like that building we were wrestling at in Dallas for GCW, it was like really hot in there too. And like I just came out through the door and it's not there's going to be a parental advisory on that promo if you watch it for sure. But it's funny. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. Don't want to spoil too much if anyone wants to go back and watch it.
Oh, I'll definitely be doing that. But there's some things that I have yet to do in my wrestling fandom. One of them, I mean, we just not that long ago, we just finished up WrestleMania week. I have yet to actually attend one of those. I want to, but have just never been able to do it. I have never attended a cage match live, which I want to do that really bad. Right. And I want to make it to a GCW show. The closest they've come to Omaha here is, I believe, St. Louis. And just the timing of it, I wasn't able to go. But good Lord, watching some of those, especially if you have like Nick Gage on. It's like once that first note of his music hits, it's like one damn big ass party mosh pit in there.
100%. And I mean, so I've only done one WrestleMania weekend, which was the one in Dallas. And another great opportunity that was also earned by me through Hybrid School of Wrestling, which is where I'm currently getting my reps in, and even helping some of the young folk there. Hybrid School of Wrestling is owned by Chris Marvel, cocky Chris Marvel, great guy. He's also another person who, man, just has helped me so much. He won't take any of the credit for it, but he's one of those people who just, when I got to the Hybrid School of Wrestling, opened me with welcome arms. Sometimes when you go to a new place, there's a lot of, oh, who's this guy? Or, oh, let's see what you're worth, kid, or, whatever. Luckily for me, when I went over to the Hybrid School of Wrestling, Chris Marvel is not like that at all. He was very welcoming. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and he wants to help everyone. You know what I'm saying? He wants to help everyone. And, when I first got there, I really wanted to become known as a technical guy, because that's just what entertains me. I love technical wrestling. I love just the creativity behind it. And, I remember one day I was just wrestling and just, kind of doing like a Zack Sabre Jr., going from one hold to the next and blah, 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 blah. And he just kind of broke it down to me. Like, he goes, why are you going to put him in a hammerlock and then go to a headlock? Doesn't make any sense. You gotta take your time, like in the technical aspect too, especially the technical aspect, because if you and the guy you're wrestling are just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, it's like running a spot.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if you aren't making it mean something.
Yeah.
And he's also one of those guys out there that he can work any style. So if you want to work any style, you can definitely learn that from him. And he just thinks of things that I would never have thought of and have, taken from him. But no, I can't thank Hybrid School of Wrestling and Chris Marvel enough. And also, Sho Funaki's there. If you remember Funaki from WWE, he still works for the WWE. Great guy as well. He's helped me a lot. He's always watching my matches and telling me the minor, minute detail things to fix that mean the absolute world, though. The absolute tiniest detail of a match, he'll break it down and as to why it means so much more than, just falling on your face or forgetting. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, if you're in the Texas area and if you're in especially the San Antonio area and you're looking to, invest in wrestling training, Hybrid School of Wrestling is the place to be. It really is. And I can't thank them enough, for sure.
That's definitely awesome. And we've talked a bunch about Thunder Rosa, and she's on a bit of a break from this promotion, but you've also had some experience with All Elite Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
And those have been some cool ones. You've had some time in there with some
big hitters.
Names. Oh yeah, totally.
Some big hitters. Yeah, actually this week on Wednesday, I think it'd be 10 o'clock right after when's Dynamite get over? 9?
Central, it'd be right about 9 o'clock Central.
Okay. So from 9 to 10, they have their AEW All Access show on, I believe. So I will be on AEW All Access this week. I'm pretty sure should have a pretty good role in that. So if you happen to be watching television, want to see JP Harlow on AEW All Access, tune in 9-10 Central. I don't know. 9 o'clock, I believe, Central Time on TBS. But yes, Thunder Rosa helped me get my opportunities at AEW. That is no secret. And again, I can't thank her enough because I remember the first AEW show I went to was in Austin, I believe. And, that was my first time ever really doing, I'd never done WWE, or anything like that. So that was my first time, like, kind of being in the shit, if you will, And so I just remember, her telling me, just go and have fun. There's no guarantee you're going to get anything, but just go and have fun. I didn't get anything. I sat in the back, ate some delicious catering, and had the time of my life. I had a great, sorry for cousin. I had a great time. But she, and then I got asked to do one in Jacksonville at the Jaguar Stadium. And so that whole week was Thunder, literally, helped fly me to Jacksonville, which, because I unfortunately at the time couldn't afford it. But she helped fly me to Jacksonville, Florida, which again, I'll pay her back one of these days, 100%, however that may be. Because again, owe her the world as far as some of the wrestling opportunities I've gotten. But but she doesn't expect that. She's one of the greatest people alive. She's the Mother Teresa of wrestling, if you will. That's what I've always called her, because she's not only helped me, she's helped out so many women and just other men in general, in getting opportunities. A lot of people, have gotten opportunities through Thunder and her husband for sure. But so I get to Jacksonville. I'm not really expecting to get anything. Because there were so many people there. I mean, geez Louise, we're at the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, which is cool enough as is. Beautiful stadium, by the way. Beautiful stadium. And I just remember, like, I'm like, man, I probably won't get anything out of this, like, not anything out of this. I probably won't get anything tonight, which is fine. I got a trip to Jacksonville and I'm having fun, so what more can you want? But then around showtime, I remember Sean Dean came out and he goes, JP, your name's on the board. I was like, oh shoot, okay. So me and Thunder go up to the board and it goes Andrade El Idolo versus JP Harlow. And I'm like, what? And I was like, okay. And so she was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I was like, yeah, I'd say that's amazing, And so I'm trying to find Andrade, but Andrade's not there yet. And so I was just like, all right, I guess we'll see him when I see him, And then when he does show up, he's in his fitted suit. He's all blinged out, he's looking good, looking like good old Andrade El Idolo. And, we conversed a little bit and then basically just, all right, see you out there, kid, like, all right, cool. And so then I go out there and it's a packed Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, basically, and I'm like, oh, holy cow, this is crazy. And then, he makes his big entrance where he's wearing the suit and the black mask. And I'm like, geez Louise. And, we get in there, we do our thing. I got a lot of good time with him too. I mean, it wasn't what people call a squash match or an enhanced. It wasn't that at all. We went at least 6 or 7 minutes and got some good shots in there, hit some stuff myself. And then when the time was right, he broke my arm, and not really, but he took care of me, and we did business, and he was, very, didn't really have any critiques. He's like, just keep doing what you're doing and see you down the road. And I was like, well, heck yeah. And then and then the second opportunity I got, and at this point, I mean, it might just be a sign that I need to move to Florida, because I've done all of my AEW matches in Florida. I've never had one in Texas. I've always done my AEW matches in Florida. And so second one, they invited me to the Universal Studio tapings in Orlando, and, a little bit of a sidebar here. I get there, I've got all my paperwork. This is still the COVID times, all right? It's still the COVID times. And so they're like, okay, you got to have this paperwork and this paperwork. Yep, got it. All right, get to Universal Studios, hand in my paperwork. The doctor goes, this isn't the right paperwork.
Oh, no.
And I was like, well, what? And he goes, you needed this test instead of this test. And that's 100% on me. That's not on AEW at all. That's on me. I just didn't read the email good enough, So, any young wrestlers out there, make sure you read your emails thoroughly. So I remember just scurrying, like I was in a panic. I've never felt anxiety like that in my life. I was like, oh my God. I Ubered to this really less than stellar clinic that for whatever reason did COVID tests, like blood COVID tests. And I was like, I need this test now. They charged me an arm and a leg. And I was like, I don't care what it costs. I need this. And so they did the test. They gave me my results, negative, of course. Go back to Universal. I turned my stuff into Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels like, oh, I'm so sorry for the mix-up. And I'm like, I don't know why you're apologizing, Christopher Daniels, because it was my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't need to apologize for anything. This is on me, like, truthfully. And and then we waited around a little bit, and then I ended up getting to work Sonny Kiss, and that match was what it was. I had a good time. Sonny is a very great person. Wish I could have gotten a little bit longer out of it, but it is what it is. I was there to do a job, and that's what I did.
Awesome. And one thing that I was just remembering, looking down here at my notes, I saw a picture of outside of the New Japan dojo.
Mm-hmm.
And, AEW does a lot of stuff with New Japan. I mean, they not that long ago announced the second Forbidden Door, which I can already tell with the possibilities that's going to be a pretty damn good show.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
What experiences do you have there? Because, I mean, I'll admit, when I was doing my research, I Googled some images and some of them it's like, okay, this is definitely not you, but then, because I've had that with myself.
So as far as my New Japan tenure goes, if you will, I got asked through Thunder's husband, Brian. Brian's like, hey, do you want to go to Dallas and because they basically rented out Mission Pro's ring and used Mission Pro's ring in Dallas. And I was like, well, heck yeah. And so we got a group of guys to go up with us, and we basically did what they call minutes work. We did minutes work, and basically what that is security guard in a way. You're just kind of dressed in all black. You stand it like if you watch New Japan, you'll see guys dressed in all black standing in the corner. Those are the minutes guys. So like if they hit a guardrail, those are the guys that jump over the guardrail and push the guardrail back in. Or they're the guys that brace the guardrail so it doesn't hit a crowd member. Or, they're the guys that are putting the ice bags on, Juice Robinson or something after the match. Basically, they're like the young boys, but not. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And so that's basically what we got to do, which was a really cool experience to be in the New Japan locker room. It's pretty different than any other locker room I've ever been in. I got to do something with Lance Archer. He bumped me around a little bit on the outside. And then also, and this wasn't planned, but Juice also messed with me a little bit, because Juice is a goofball. He's just being funny, what I'm saying? Just up to me, But yeah, it was a really cool experience. It was just really something to put on the resume,
Oh, totally. And, you bring up Lance Archer. I met him when I got invited to Warrior Wrestling when they stopped in St. And one of
I
my
just
first wrestling figures I ever got autographed was his
wow.
AEW one.
Oh wow.
And I got two from that trip. And
Yeah.
the other one was from another New Japan staple, Jeff
Nice.
Cobb.
Oh, United Empire. Yes.
Yes, one
That's
of my
cool.
personal favorites. He wrestled that night against Jonah, now Bronson Reed again,
Hmm.
and good God, talk about a hoss fight! Like
Hmm.
they chopped each other so hard you could literally see the individual beads of sweat just flying off of them. It was insane.
That's wrestling. Speaking of Warrior Wrestling, I just wrestled for their world title not too long ago. In
Oh
Corpus
yeah,
Christi, I wrestled Casey Navarro at
Casey
the
Navarro,
Texas
yeah.
Wrestling Cartel in
Definitely.
Corpus
I was,
Christi,
you know what?
Texas.
I do remember that one now.
Yeah. Yep.
They
He's a cool
can.
dude.
Oh yeah, no, I've had nothing but pleasant experiences around him. I've ran into him a few times, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, now they can legit call their main title a world title since I believe, oops, sorry, bumped my table there, but I believe he defended it in Australia, if I remember right,
Yeah,
which
probably.
gave them
Probably.
the, yeah. So no, I've nothing but good things about the Warrior crew. They've
Oh yeah.
welcomed me with open arms. I've been featured on a handful of their pay-per-view pre-shows. I talk to the promoter there frequently, so I'm
Yeah,
excited.
that's a dream promotion that I'd love to work one day for sure. Um, yeah, just because it's up north, it's in Chicago. I'm an Iowa boy, so I just that's definitely on the list of dream promotions to work one day.
Oh yeah, no, I've been extremely lucky with them.
Mhm.
I they joked about on the last show because I was watching and kind of live tweeting. They
Mhm.
kind of joked about saying I was the third man in the booth that night. I'm like, I like the sound of that. I want to make that happen.
Sounds like a T-shirt.
Yes,
Third
we
man
will.
in the booth. Third
Third
man
man
in the
in
booth.
we will make it happen.
Sounds like a
Well,
T-shirt.
oh, totally. But now I have two categories I like to round stuff off with.
Okay.
First one, bit of a name game. I try to theme it towards my guests, and more often than not, I try to get it to where it's either people you've shared the ring with, or at least you know, shared a locker room with, been on the
Mhm.
same card with. And,
Mhm.
I name off the person, you give me uh, some quick thoughts on them.
Okay.
First one, we mentioned he was one of your matches there with AEW,
Mhm.
Andrade El Idolo.
Tremendous worker. Um, just above and beyond grateful to have ever gotten in a ring with him. He's someone that I watched in NXT a lot. Um, again, just tremendous worker and just yeah, that's all.
Oh, totally. No, he's
With that total
and
badass,
no, oh,
total
totally.
badass.
Oh, totally. And I know right now he's kind of healing up from some stuff. So
Hmm.
whether hopefully they get him back there with AEW here soon, because I know his group that he had there towards right
Yeah.
before the injury happened with Roosh, and now Dralistico
Hmm.
doing some big things still. So
Oh
hopefully
yeah.
get back in the mix and go after hell either the trios titles or the Ring of Honor 6-man titles. They could go make a run
100%.
for either one of those two.
100%.
Next up, a guy that I know a little bit about,
Hmm.
and I was actually just recently at a no ring deathmatch show sitting right next to this man,
Hmm.
JJ Garrett.
JJ Garrett, yes. Goofball, thought Stein. No, JJ Garrett's a really cool dude. One of those guys that, and I don't say this in a demeaning term. Underrated. He's a very underrated wrestler. Like the stuff he does, you just kind of watch and go, I never would have thought of that.
Oh yeah.
Again, just absolute outstanding guy. Would love to actually get to wrestle him because unfortunately, when I was supposed to wrestle him, he got sick, couldn't make it, and then the next show I was on with him, I was wrestling someone else. So, but no, I would love to get the one-on-one at some point, somewhere. Because again, I think both of our styles mesh very well together, and he's a one of the best the Midwest has. Honestly, he's one of the best of the Midwest.
Oh, totally. And I don't think anybody would really take underrated as a demeaning term because it just means that they're that good that they like we mentioned before, the fact that he hasn't been signed to a big name company is a bit surprising.
He can cut promos. He's got a good look. He's got good ring gear. I mean, what more do you want? Yeah, I mean, what more do you want? But
totally. Next up, another guy, mostly with now Ring of Honor under the Tony Khan banner, but he's doing amazing things as part of the Gates of Agony.
Oh, Khan. Khan is a very good buddy of mine. Trained together at the Hybrid School of Wrestling here in San Antonio. Trained with his girlfriend, girlfriend Maddie Rakowski too. But my match with Khan was one of those matches where when I had it, after the match kind of had that, yeah, I belong, I belong doing this. I kept up. I matched his intensity. I matched his aggression, and we got, and then that match, it was one of the loudest matches of the night, like they, people legitimately thought I was about to beat Khan, so that just shows you that, how good of a worker Khan is, how good of a worker I am. And just when you put two good workers like that in the ring, magical stuff can happen for sure. And Khan, he's at the dance, he's at Ring of Honor. He does stuff on AEW. It's only a matter of time until that freaking Greek god physique that he has shines through, and he starts maybe gets out of the 6-man division and starts doing some individual stuff and see where that can go.
Oh, and he's proven so far that he can do amazing things there too. We talked a little bit about this next guy, that you got a match upcoming with him here soon as of recording this. A guy that many consider one of, if not the best in the world, Jonathan Gresham.
I mean, here's the thing. I have a match with him April 23rd at Pro Wrestling Element here in San Antonio, Texas at the Shrine Auditorium. I've not met John Gresham before. I've never been in a locker room with Jonathan. I've only ever heard great things about the guy. I think he has a great story. I think, how he wasn't necessarily getting the opportunities he wanted here in America. So he went over to, I think, Germany and like Europe. Yeah. Well, of course, Germany's in Europe, but Germany in like the United Kingdom, and just kind of trained in that style and started blowing up over there, and then came back and then took the world by storm. I will say this, actually, a word I will say about Jonathan Gresham: revolutionary. Okay. revolutionary. And I know it's supposed to be quick thoughts, but I'm going to dive into this a little bit. All right.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So there for a while, wrestling kind of became internet sensation stuff, right? Like, oh, this guy got power bombed off a balcony. Oh, this guy got choke slammed through glass tables and thumbtacks. This guy, did a triple dipple moonsault and whatever. Jonathan Gresham did something that no one else was doing, and that was simply wrestling. In a weird way, like just grit grinding wrestling, technical wrestling, the old adage of what old is new,
Yeah.
like he brought back the peer division, and a lot of people were skeptical about it, but he made it work. It was one of the most watched things, especially during COVID times, that Ring of Honor had. And then he took that to the world title scene. He didn't change his style when he got to the world title scene. He literally just kept his style. He owns how he wrestles, and people love it. And he's doing it on Impact, which is great. And I just have to say, I am ecstatic that I get to share a ring with Jonathan Gresham and not only show, the wrestling world what I can do, but also show him what I can do from a technical standpoint. Because he's one of the guys that I case study a lot when watching like technical stuff, for sure.
Oh yeah, and I believe he's speaking there of Impact. I believe one of their next big shows, he's got a shot at the X Division title. I believe a triple threat against Trey Miguel, and I'm spacing off on the other guy as of right now. But I remember when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, damn, I'm going to have to keep my eye out on that one.
Yeah, that'll be a good match. Anything John Gresham's in, anything Trey Miguel's in, it's going to be good.
Oh, totally. I've actually got to meet Trey Miguel on a couple of occasions. Always a good time.
That's sweet, dude.
Next up, I have some kind of random questions. I really only keep two on there, the first and the last one. The others, I never really know what I'm gonna have on it until I'm putting my notes together and I'm writing it down. First one, craziest in-match moment for you.
Craziest. I guess I don't know. So last summer at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, I got to me and this wrestler here in Texas named Izzy James. We had just a one-off match that went really well, and then Booker's like, I want to turn this into a storyline that's going to get paid off at the end of the summer. Oh, okay, cool. So we just kind of kept it going. And then, so we're supposed to have a big blow-off match. So we did like 4 matches. On the third one, the fourth match was always going to be a casket match, a casket match. On the third match, it was just, all right, beat each other up, go to the outside, both get counted out, fight, JP, throw Izzy off the stage, boom. So we get there, we fight on the outside, we're beating each other up, and then he goes to throw my head in the guardrail, whatever. Well, at that time, I still had really long curly hair, and I don't think he anticipated for that, because when he threw my head down, his hand got stuck in my hair.
Oh no.
And he didn't let go, and so I got my hair yanked, and then my face missed my hand, and I went crack right in the guardrail. And I immediately heard crunch.
Oh no.
And I literally go, oh shit, my teeth. And so I literally I put my head down so the camera doesn't see me. I just start feeling for my teeth. I'm like, oh, they're all there. I'm fine. They just hurt. I'm fine. Cool. And so I start going up on him. I get him down. And then I look over at the ref, and the ref just looks at me with pure horror, just goes, oh, you know? I was like, what's his deal? And then he's like, JP, your nose. And I was like, what?
Oh,
And I feel my nose. And then as soon as I felt my nose, I felt it sideways,
oh no.
and just blood just pouring down.
Ugh.
And I look, and there's just a river of blood following me. And I was like, well, I got to still hit my TV spots because this is for TV. I still got to hit my spots. I don't care. And so I just beat him up, throw him off the stage. I look right in the camera. I've got blood pouring down my face. And I go, I just killed your hero. And, it is what it is. Get to the back. And Booker hates blood. He hates blood. Hates it. And I the whole time I'm thinking like, oh God, I'm in so much trouble. I'm bleeding everywhere. It's bad. Get to the back. I see him standing there, and he goes, JP, you all right? And I was like, yes, sir, I'm all right. Looks at me, pauses. All right, man, go clean yourself off. And I was like, that's it? I was like, that's it? I was like, oh, thank God. And so a good buddy of mine, Ryan Davidson, who's also helped me a lot in wrestling, threw me a white towel. I go in, I clean my face off. I reset my own nose, which is probably why it's still crooked. But I had to do something there, crack it back in. We're good to go. And then we have the casket, man.
That's a pretty crazy moment. I've witnessed. Oh, there we go.
No, you're good.
I've witnessed a few crazy ones myself with the guy that was actually the best man at my wedding. He was on this promotion's version of their version of a Money in the Bank ladder match. And the ladder was bridged between the guardrail and the ring apron. And I'm sitting on the other side. And all of a sudden, I see him holding this guy on the ring apron in a way that resembles the name of the maneuver is escaping me, but Sheamus uses it a lot. I'm wanting to say the white noise, where like the head's down here and the legs are up here.
Yes, sir.
And I see him look down at the ladder, and I'm like, oh no. He looks down at the ladder, and before I know it, jumps, ladder folds, and I see them both disappear. I'm like, oh goddamn.
Oh my God. Holy cow. Those are good.
Oh man, it was insane, I tell you. But I've often, this next question, I've often wondered this about myself. And I've heard people ask this question to similar other people. And I figured, you know what, why not? I'm going to add it on this category.
Go for it.
If you had the opportunity to choose who would play you in a movie, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. I mean, so there's two answers to this question, all right? There's two answers. There's the answer of who everyone else thinks would play me, and then who I personally would have play me, right?
Okay.
So everyone has always told me for the longest time, especially when I let my hair grow out, it gets all crazy, fuzzy, fro-y, people always are telling me, man, you look like Will Ferrell, or you look like Zach Galifianakis, or you look like you look like Seth Rogen, So I mean, Zach Galifianakis would be a hilarious person to play. I think he's one of the funniest actors in the world. And of that group of people I just named, I'd have to give it to Zach Galifianakis, hopefully. I mean, we don't have the same body type, but, he's a Hollywood actor. He can get in shape, But then as far as me personally going, man, it's got it. Just anybody, huh?
Yeah, anybody.
Anybody. I mean, it wouldn't make much sense, but I guess John Cena. I'm a big John Cena fan. I love his acting. We kind of have what I view as similar humors, but
Okay.
I'd say John. But wouldn't make much sense because he's like a 50-year-old man, and I'm a 24-year-old piece of gold. But if I had to go with a younger actor, man, I really don't know too many younger actors, honestly, right now. Which just tells you I don't go to many movies anymore. But who's got the time? But man, I guess I just have to say John Cena, man.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's done amazing things with plenty of shows and movies, so that would be an entertaining one. Next up, I say that I only feature 2 questions that aren't so random, but if I didn't have this question in here with the name of the podcast like Drinking at Moe's, I would feel weird. But
Okay.
favorite drink, whether alcoholic, non, or you can name one of each if you want.
Yeah, I'll name one of each. So as far as alcoholic goes, I'm a big stout guy. I like stouts. So I'd go a nice Guinness. Nice just draft Guinness out of the can, poured into a glass. Because if you're going to drink Guinness, you can't just drink it out of the can. I'm sorry. It literally says it. It literally says it on the can. Best served in a 45-degree glass. So, I mean, if you're going to do Guinness, at least pour it into a glass. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 45-degree glass, but at least pour it into a glass. Big Guinness guy. Love stouts. I also like Big Wave Golden Ale, but I give the edge to Guinness. I give the edge to Guinness for sure.
Big Kona Big Wave, one of my absolute favorites.
Kona Big Wave is good, and I'm at the point now in my life where, I'm only 24, but I ain't just drinking to drink. If I'm gonna have a beer, it's gonna be something I enjoy, or I ain't having it.
No,
I'll drink water. I'll just drink water.
I'm the same way when it comes to beer. I've had my crazy drinking times, plenty of them on deployment. I was a Navy veteran, and some of the places I remember being
well, thank you for your service.
Thank you. I remember being in Bahrain at the same time. Some of the British Navy were there, and I was going picture for picture with them, and I'm like, let's just say at the time, I don't know if they still do it, but at the time they were testing out, you had to get breathalyzed when you came back from when you came back to the ship from foreign ports.
Yeah.
The people I went out with that night, we were at the back of the line. They knew I wasn't going to pass that damn thing. So they said, just go, we'll sign you in.
Oh man. Lucky.
No, man.
Lucky, man.
No, and you'll get a laugh out of this one. We were in, Singapore for the first time. And we filed for overnight liberty. We got this hotel. We sprang for this package where you got this guest only private bar, and we were there, and most people were like one at a time. They go up, they grab one. Me and my friends, we were grabbing like 2 or 3 at a time and just slamming them back. And
nice.
We ended up, oh God, completely hammered that night. But I remember getting told later we had actually gotten called back early something happened. We're gonna be leaving, and apparently, I was in the bed right by the phone, and I apparently pissed off the first guy that called because they apparently were like, okay, we need you back here by midnight. And I got told that I was like, midnight? It's already midnight. I can't be in two places at once. The guy hung up on me.
Oh no. Oh no.
But
Come on now.
somebody else called back and we were like, okay, we'll get up.
What are your thoughts on margaritas?
My whole thing with margaritas, I do enjoy a good margarita, but
Yeah.
I don't like the places that they're selling them, and I've seen signs that literally say cheap tequila, and I'm like, no,
hell no. Hell no.
I'm like, I want the good shit.
So I'm in San Antonio, so it's margarita capital of the world. Come on now. And so I look down. I don't look down upon people because that'd just be mean. But if there is one group of people that I would eradicate, it's the people that drink frozen margaritas. I am not a child. I am not a child. I'm a grown man, and I drink mine on the rocks. That is the only way to do it. Buffalo Wild Wings, believe it or not, has one of the best margaritas on the market today. The Platinum Margarita. Go to your local Buffalo Wild Wings, get a Platinum Margarita. And then I also got showed by a lady here how to make a homemade margarita. So it's healthy, there's not any sugar in it. It's delicious. But yeah, you can't be using cheap tequila.
Oh yeah,
for your margaritas. You gotta use. I'll admit, I use Terramana in mine. I like Terramana.
That's one.
But the best tequila on the market, and I'll say this, DeBell. DeBell tequila. It's pricey. It's expensive. But it is the smoothest tequila you can drink. Like it's almost water. It's dangerous.
Another. Not to interrupt you. I know another Another good one. It's not that expensive, but it's definitely a little bit on the pricier side, depending on the type that you buy. But Casamigos.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's another good one. I had a friend the first time I had that type in a margarita. Friend made me one, and I'm like, I think I had two of them, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to stop at two because if I have any more, it's going to be the living embodiment of 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila floor.
There's a place here in San Antonio. I think it's kind of world famous. I can't pronounce the name. It's a Spanish name. I cannot pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. But it's this restaurant. It has delicious food, absolutely delicious food. And but they have they're known for their margaritas. It's called chispa. I call it cheese fuzz, but it's called chispa. And those are the strongest margaritas in the world. Like you have half of one and you're already like, holy cow. Like I went with a group of people, and it was like, yeah, don't drink more than 2 of these because you'll have to Uber home. Like it's bad. It's bad.
Oh yeah, those are the good ones for sure. Well, speaking of good places to have margaritas, oftentimes people like to enjoy them on vacations. Mm-hmm. Where would you say is a place, if you could choose a vacation spot right now, where would you want?
Vacation spot. Well, I'd say man, my stand broke. So but a vacation spot of mine that I've always wanted to go to would be I've always wanted to go to Australia.
That's one on my.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I guess as far as like maybe tropical, I'm not really a big tropical person. I'd say that and have lived in Houston, of course, but it's I don't know, like tropical isn't like a super appealing place for me just because I run hot and I sweat a lot. So it's just like I wouldn't be able to. I've got them Nordic genes, man. Like I just like even here in San Antonio, like I'll be walking down the street and if I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, I'll be like just sweating. Like I say it like yeah. So I say that and I want to go to Australia, but like I don't know. I also just kind of want to go to like Ireland or like Iceland or places like that. I think are super interesting to me.
Oh no, totally agree with you. I will say there's one, I'm forgetting the name of the place, but it is on the tropical side. But I wanted to say it was either Bora Bora or Bali, where you see the videos where they're like these hotels that have these like almost hut looking things on the outside that are over the water on these like piers. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I want to stay in one of those.
Yeah, that would be cool. I guess if I had to choose like a tropical place to stay, maybe good old Hawaii.
Okay.
Like good old Hawaii, man. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. But it's definitely not on my top destination list. But if I just say tropical, maybe Hawaii, maybe like I just had a friend that went to Cuba. I feel like that would be cool to go to Cuba, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, tropical destinations not necessarily on the top of my list of places to go. I wouldn't ever turn it down if the opportunity presented itself. So if there's any Brahma mamas out there looking to pay for my vacation, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. I'd probably say Hawaii. I'd like to go to Hawaii.
I've been there 3 times, once without the Navy, twice with it. Had a blast each time.
Sure. That's why Adam Sandler keeps filming movies there.
No.
Oh, actually, I take that back. There is I just thought of this. Number one place I would go. I can't believe I forgot this because I talk about it all the time. I'm sorry. Okay. South Africa.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to South Africa.
Okay, that'd be another cool one.
Like South Africa has always been a place I've always wanted to visit and stay at for like 10 days. I don't know why. I just find it as a very interesting place. There's a lot of rich history there. You can surf there. It is tropical, but like, I don't know. South Africa to me just seems like a really cool place to go. And I've always wanted to go there.
I would be a little hesitant on the surfing side of stuff because I know South Africa off the shores, they do have the potential for a lot of great white shark activity. And I've always said,
really?
I wouldn't mind seeing one, but I'd want to be in a damn boat.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know that. I honestly, other than like just the history of the place, I don't know anything about South Africa other than Justin Gabriel also came from there. But like, I don't know. I just think it'd be a cool place to go. And I just have always wanted to go. So South Africa, that's my place.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely a place on my list of places that
Cape Town, Johannesburg.
Definitely.
All the places. All the places.
Totally agree. Last but not least, best advice for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Best advice. I think it's a pretty cliche piece of advice. But honestly, uh, just stick with it. I think everyone in wrestling has those moments of doubt or, I'm going to give this up or whatever, but stick with it. Keep pounding, as the Carolina Panthers say. Keep pounding. But because a lot of cool things can happen. There's no guarantee that anyone in this business will get signed to WWE. There's no guarantee that anyone will get signed to AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact. There's no guarantee that you'll even work in the best promotion in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm just throwing out a city there.
Yeah, no.
But there's a lot of cool places. There's a lot of cool opportunities out there. You just have to surround yourself with the right people that have your best interest and that you also have their best interest, and work your ass off and keep pounding.
No, definitely good advice, because kind of like what I've told when people have asked me about, younger people have asked me about enlisting. I'm like, one, make sure it's something you want to do. Like 100% it's what you want to do, because often, keep pounding, because you're going to have those moments where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
But you get past those, you're good.
Yep. Just like with anything, though. That's anything.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
just
totally.
life. That's just life, man. Like you gotta keep pounding no matter what you do. I mean, people have those same thoughts as, being an accountant or being a doctor or whatever. Every job field has its ups and downs for sure, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Well, that is about all I have. But before we go, where can people find you social media wise and all of that? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Of course. And if you don't mind, could I also plug some dates that I have coming up?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mo. So for those of you that don't already follow the JP Harlow Instagram, it's JP Harlow _2 on Instagram. Got great content on there, great promos, great sexy photos of myself. So make sure you go and follow and like and do all the good things on Instagram. And then as far as Twitter goes, I believe it's JP Harlow _2 again, because I guess JP Harlow _1 has been taken. But so whoever's out there is JP Harlow _1. I'm coming for you. No, I'm kidding. But and then Facebook is just JP Harlow. And then I also just started a YouTube page with my best friend, tag partner, brother, Joey Hyder. It's the H2 Easy YouTube page. So it's the H2 Easy 23 on YouTube. We don't have any content on there yet. We just created it about last week. But a lot of cool stuff is coming. A lot of creative ideas, I believe. And then as far as dates for the wrestling shows go, this Saturday, Dallas, Texas, it'll be Texas style wrestling. And then next week, April, what's next week's date? April 22nd. April 22nd, because I believe earlier in this podcast I said April 15th was Mission. I lied. April 15th is Texas style wrestling. April 22nd is Mission Pro Wrestling here in San Antonio, Texas at the Salvation Army. 2/3 of the Men's Revolution will be facing the King Bees, Danny B and Charity Kane. That'll be April 22nd, Mission Pro Wrestling. And then April 23rd, a Sunday at the Shrine Auditorium, also here in San Antonio, Texas. I, JP Harlow, will be facing Jonathan Gresham, and what should be one of the best technical matches Texas has ever seen, if not the wrestling world has ever seen. And then April, what's the Saturday after that? April 29th. Yeah, April 29th is Hybrid Mania 3. So Hybrid School of Wrestling, owned by Chris Marvel and with Coach Sho Funaki. Hybrid Mania 3. It'll be H2 Easy, Joey Hyder, and myself, JP Harlow, and former WWE superstar Jimmy Wang Yang in 6-man tag action against the Texas Treach, which is a team that consists of Cocky Chris Marvel, Delicious Don Juan, and the Treat and Training Diego Rene. And then May, if I may, real quick, May 13th, Corpus Christi, Texas. JP Harlow will be facing Kerry Morton at Texas Wrestling Cartel in Corpus Christi. And then Central Empire Wrestling has also invited me to their Bridge City Slam, my hometown of Ottumwa, Iowa, for their big 2-day event. And I can't wait. I can't wait.
Speaking of them, I've had Austin Bayless on promoting last year's event.
Great guy.
Oh yeah, great guy.
Wrestled there last year against Joey Avalon.
But yeah,
over 700 people there.
Oh yeah, those Bridge City Slam events have been something of a destination event for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I said, that is about all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me, and best of luck with all of those dates coming up.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. Look forward to the next time we get to chat. Hopefully we can chat sometime after the Bridge City Slam, catch up a little bit.
Oh, totally. I would love that. And you're welcome back anytime.
Sounds great, Mo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.